dangerous reality is starting to emerge behind Red Bull's 2026 project. While the team spent the opening races fighting chassis problems and balance issues, another question quietly grew inside the paddock. Is the new Red Bull Ford engine truly capable of matching Mercedes over an entire season? The answer is becoming more complicated with every race weekend. At first, many expected disaster. Red Bull was building its own Formula One power unit for the first time after Honda's exit, while Ford entered as a new technical partner in one of the most complex engine eras the sport has ever seen. But against expectations, the situation is not collapsing. In fact, even Toto Wolff admitted in Bahrain that Red Bull looked like the absolute reference in some areas, even if politics may have influenced those comments. Max Verstappen also defended the project after the difficult Japanese Grand Prix. He admitted the RB22 still had serious problems, but made it clear the engine itself was certainly not the team's biggest weakness. That statement mattered inside the garage, because for Red Bull and Ford, simply being competitive at this stage already feels like a major victory after years of pressure, investment and risk. This changes everything. Mark Rushbrook, Ford Performance Director, openly admitted how difficult the journey has been. He said getting the power unit onto the grid after only 3.5 years of work was already an enormous challenge. But according to him, the fact Red Bull Ford is already in the fight gives the entire project confidence. And this is where the situation becomes serious, because now the expectations are no longer about survival. They are about beating Mercedes. The project itself moved at an incredible speed. Red Bull completed its new engine facility in only 55 weeks. Ben Hodgkinson led the operation, bringing in several experienced names from Mercedes high-performance powertrains. After Porsche negotiations collapsed, Ford joined the project through what reportedly started with a simple email sent to Christian Horner. Since then, the partnership has expanded far beyond its original plans. Rushbrook admitted Ford ended up contributing much more than initially expected, especially in advanced manufacturing and rapid production technologies. He explained that the ability to print and produce parts quickly with extreme precision pushed Ford further than they imagined, not only for Formula One but for other racing programs too. That's the real issue. Red Bull Ford is no longer a temporary experiment. It is becoming a long-term technical war against Mercedes. But there is still one major weakness that worries the team. According to Rushbrook, the Red Bull Ford engine appears highly sensitive to weather and environmental conditions. Temperature, humidity and track conditions can significantly change performance levels from one weekend to another. And it may not stop here, because that inconsistency could become critical over a championship fight. Rushbrook even warned that the FIA must analyze the ADUO system carefully and not simply look blindly at the data. He argued that environmental conditions heavily affect power unit performance and must be considered before deciding which manufacturers qualify for additional development help. Still, the FIA already confirmed it wants to keep the system simple without artificial corrections. It could create huge tension if one manufacturer feels unfairly judged. Internally, Red Bull and Ford already know exactly where the engine is strong and where it still falls short. But Rushbrook refused to reveal those details publicly. What he did admit, however, was perhaps the biggest warning of all. When asked if Mercedes remains the benchmark, he smiled and answered, "Well, yes, it is very good." And that may be the clearest sign yet that despite all the progress, Red Bull Ford still has a long road ahead before truly dominating Formula One's new era. What's your take on this situation? Share your opinion below and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more Formula One updates.